provided by Soviet Mission Control Center. 65 degrees, 35 minutes east longitude, 52 degrees, 32 minutes north latitude.
Moscow, this is Soyuz. We have engine fire. Stabilization is stable. Roger. The engine fired in a stable mode for 20 seconds. Roger, Soyuz. 90 seconds firing normal. Roger, 90 seconds. Everything operating normally.
Soyuz now out of range of ascension. We show that their deorbit burn began at 5:10 and 35 seconds a.m. Central Daylight Time. Soyuz crew reported at least a 2-minute burn.
This is Soviet Mission Control Center. Moscow time is 13 hours, 16 minutes. The last final stage of the flight of the Soyuz spacecraft has begun. Now it has left the zone of coverage of the Ascension Island tracking station and also the tracking ship. It has approached the coast of Africa near the Gulf of Guinea. According to the crew reports, the engine fired at the calculated time and turned off at 13 hours, 13 minutes, 38 seconds. At the present time, the automatic onboard equipment is now doing the final programming. So this is preparation for separation of the modules and also the maneuvering and control on the deorbit and entry into the atmosphere section. According to calculations, separation of the modules shall take place at 13 hours, 22 minutes, 26 seconds. At that moment, the altitude of flight will be 153.8 kilometers. This is Moscow Mission Control Center.
The Apollo crew is missing all this. They're scheduled for about 40 minutes more worth of sleep. They're not scheduled to wake up until 6:05 a.m. Central Daylight Time, when they'll be in acquisition through Vanguard. All three crew members
This is Soviet Mission Control Center, Moscow time 13 hours, 21 minutes. Until the separation of the modules of the Soyuz spacecraft, 1 minute remains. The height of the altitude of the flight at that moment will be 153.8 kilometers. Somewhat later, at 13 hours, 26 minutes and 48 seconds, at the height of 104 kilometers, altitude of 104, the descent vehicle will enter the atmosphere. This is Moscow Mission Control Center. Separation of the modules of the Soyuz spacecraft has taken place. This data was received by signals transmitted from the orbital module of the spacecraft Soyuz. This is the Soviet Mission Control Center. 12 hours, 24 minutes Moscow time. The distance between the spacecraft and the landing site was approximately 4,000 kilometers. In 1 minute, the Soyuz spacecraft and its descent vehicle will enter the atmosphere. Soyuz, this is Moscow. I can hear you. Roger. Everything on board is normal. Separation was on time. Everything is working. The descent and the retrofire engine worked fine. The engine fired on schedule and at the proper time. The engines were switched on, the button was pushed. Everything better. Continue your report, please. We are listening to you. You can hear the engine firing. And we can see it through the porthole. The spacecraft is moving very smoothly. We can hear the control thrusters. The parameters. No, the parameters, the light indicating atmosphere is not lit yet. The crew is feeling well. Normally everything is battened down. Nothing is floating around. The pressure is 800. Temperature is 20. Everything is proceeding as programmed. Roger, Soyuzes. So far, we hear you excellently. We can see the flashes. Soyuz, this is Moscow. How do you read me now? Hours, 28 minutes Moscow time. Distance between the spacecraft from the landing site is 2,000 kilometers. The commentary from onboard the spacecraft is proceeding. Soyuz, this is Moscow. So far we can't hear you. Apparently you have been there.
We're now receiving television from Soviet Mission Control.
На 13 часов
13 hours,
29
29 minutes, 40 seconds Moscow time. Distance between the spacecraft and the landing site was 1,400 kilometers. At the present time, the Soyuz spacecraft, the descent vehicle, crossed the Caspian Sea and is now flying around Guryev, in the vicinity of the city Guryev.
На
13 hours, 30 minutes, 50 seconds Moscow time. The distance between the spacecraft and landing point was 970 kilometers. Soyuz, this is Moscow. How do you read? At 13 hours, 31 minutes, 50 seconds, distance between the spacecraft Soyuz and the landing site. At the present time, the descent vehicle of the Soyuz spacecraft, 19, is approaching Turgai, the city of Turgai in the Kazakh SSR.
часов
13 hours, 32 minutes, 20 seconds. Distance between the spacecraft Soyuz from the landing point is 460 kilometers. Soyuz, this is Moscow. Soyuz, this is Moscow. How do you read me?
часов
13 hours, 33 minutes, 20 seconds.
удаление корабля.
Distance of spacecraft from the landing site is 210 kilometers.
Парашюта осталось 3 минуты.
3 minutes until deployment of the parachute.
Новый репортаж.
There is commentary from on board the spacecraft. Soyuz, this is Moscow. It's very difficult to see anything. We can... Roger, we hear your report. We can hear the valves of the engines working. Everything is... How do you feel? Excellent, thank you. Very good. Roger. And we're still waiting. Are you waiting for the G overloads? We already had it. We felt it. It's already decreasing, but I thought the G load would be greater. Roger, Soyuz. Moscow, what is our altitude now, approximately? I don't know. I'll give you the distance. 20 25 kilometers to the calculated landing point. Soyuz, this is Moscow. Soyuz, this is Moscow. Soyuz, this is Moscow. How do you read me? Soyuz, this is Moscow. How do you read me? Soyuz, this is Moscow. How do you read me? This is the Soviet Mission Control Center. According to the reports from the landing sites, the descent vehicle has been sighted. Two helicopters have sighted the descent vehicle and they are observing its descent under the... Soyuz, this is Moscow. This is the Soviet Mission Control Center. The search helicopters are following the descent vehicle and are monitoring it visually. This is the Soviet Mission Control Center. The report has come in from the rescue unit that the descent vehicle of the Soyuz has jettisoned its heat shield. The Soyuz is continuing to descend by parachute. The rescue service confirms receiving a shortwave signal from the transmitter aboard the descent vehicle. 13 hours, 40 minutes, 50 seconds. Spacecraft Soyuz is concluding its flight. Now we have a TV broadcast from the landing site. We can see the descent vehicle of the Soyuz spacecraft descending under its parachute. Moscow time 13 hours, 44 minutes, 50 seconds. Altitude 2,000 meters. Pilot Sergeyev of Helicopter 8 is following the descent of the descent vehicle. Moscow time 13 hours, 45 minutes. Altitude 1,700 meters. Moscow time 13 hours, 46 minutes. The rescue unit reports that pilot Kiselyov has established communications with the Soyuz 19 descent vehicle of the spacecraft. Altitude of the descent vehicle, 1,400 meters. Moscow time, 13 hours, 47 minutes, 50 seconds. Descent rate approximately 7 to 8 meters per second. The descent rate of the spacecraft, 1,000 meter altitude. Moscow time 13 hours, 48 minutes. The crew has gotten set and ready for contact of the descent vehicle with the ground. The area of the landing is a smooth field. Altitude 600 meters. Moscow time 13 hours, 49 minutes, 50 seconds. Contact of the descent vehicle at 13 hours, 50 minutes, 54 seconds Moscow time. The parachute has been jettisoned. The soft landing engines fired and a small cloud of dust rose. The descent vehicle is lying on its side and the helicopters of the rescue unit are approaching it.
Soyuz 19 on the ground.
It's 13 hours, 52 minutes. The rescue helicopter has landed near the descent vehicle. Members of the search and rescue group are approaching the descent vehicle of Soyuz 19 spacecraft. Specialists of the search and rescue group are beginning to open the hatch number 5, the hatch of the Soyuz spacecraft descent vehicle. Moscow time is 13 hours, 52 minutes, 45 seconds. The place of landing is being approached by helicopters carrying the press.
Командиру аппарата корабля «Союз» вышел командир корабля.
Commander of the spacecraft, Alexei Leonov, has just exited from the spacecraft. Moscow time at that time was 13 hours, 54 minutes, 25 seconds.
Alexei Leonov waving at the rescue team members, apparently in very good spirits.
Moscow time, 13 hours, 55 minutes. The flight engineer of the spacecraft Soyuz 19, Valery Kubasov, has just come out of the Soyuz. The cosmonauts feel well.
Alexei Leonov, Valery Kubasov, the ASTP cosmonaut team members on the ground safely in Kazakhstan province, USSR, surrounded by members of the press presently and rescue team members.
In the Mission Control Center, the flight time clock started at 1:42, 30 minutes, 53 seconds. The clock has stopped.
The crew of the Apollo will have very good news this morning, 10 minutes from now, when they get their wake-up call through the Vanguard. Their ASTP team members, Alexei Leonov and Valery Kubasov, safely back on Earth, being surrounded by members of the press and rescue team members.
The spacecraft Soyuz landed 10 kilometers from the calculated point of landing. At the present time, the crew is walking towards the rescue and search helicopters. This is Moscow Mission Control Center.
Lynn Lunny, USA Program Manager for Apollo Soyuz, presently congratulating his counterpart in the Soviet Union, Professor Konstantin Bashuyev. Both gentlemen watching the crew on live television. Dr. Christopher C. Kraft, Center Director of the Johnson Space Center, conveying his personal and the entire center's congratulations to Konstantin Bashuyev and the entire Mission Control Center Moscow team for a job very well done. Soviet Control Center indicating that their landing was 10 kilometers away from the planned landing position, and earlier this morning, Vadim Kravets, Shift Flight Director from the Soviet Mission Control Center indicated that planned landing position would be at 50 degrees 15 minutes north, 67 degrees 32 minutes east. Crew members Alexei Leonov and Valery Kubasov presently being boarded into the rescue helicopters. Looks like from between 9 to 10 helicopters at the rescue site, all jet-powered. Everybody presently in the process of boarding the helicopters for departure from the Soyuz 19 landing position. About 2 minutes away from wake-up for the Apollo crew. They are presently just northwest of the acquisition range of Vanguard. At crew wake-up time, we'll be transferring PAO release from Soyuz air-to-ground to Apollo air-to-ground. That will occur momentarily.
Apollo Houston through Vanguard for 5.5 minutes. Good morning.
Capcom Carol Bobko trying to wake up the American crew. We're now configured for Apollo air-to-ground.
Apollo Houston through Vanguard for 5 minutes. Good morning. Roger, we read you fine. We're just looking at the TV here and see that Soyuz has landed safely, and Alexei and Valeti were outside of the spacecraft and seem to be in good health.
Oh, very good. Give them our best. Sure glad to hear everything went good.
I've got some flight plan changes that I'd like to start on as soon as someone has a chance.
Give us a couple minutes. We're just barely starting to move here. Stand by. Might be able to get a headset.
Okay. Okay, the first one is at 1:43:15, and it concerns the wastewater dump. We'd like you to dump the wastewater to 40%. That's a 9-minute dump. We suggest timing the dump since the transducer has been erratic.
Okay, 9-minute wastewater dump at 1:42. 1:43:10.
Tom, I think I heard you say that correctly, but you came through very weakly. Could you repeat it, please?
Roger, bro. Wastewater dump, 9 minutes, 1:43:15. We'll time it.
Roger. The second one is at 1:44:40. And that's changed the high gain angles to -4 and yaw 312. And that's a change to the change.
Roger, -4 and 312.
At 1:44:45, perform the X-ray contingency prep in the experiment checklist page 1-25.
Give me the page again, too.
That was page 1-25.
Got it?
Okay, and there's less than a minute until LOS, and we'll see you at ATS at 1:43:07.
Roger, 1:43:07, and I guess the angles at 1:43:07 are -7 and 323, okay?
That's affirmative, -7 and 323.
Okay, and we'll check on how our water boiler's doing with you then, okay?
And just as we go over the hill, everything looks fine. We still have live TV from the Soviet Union in Kazakhstan where the spacecraft has landed, and we saw it touch down, saw the cosmonauts get out, and everything looks good.
Okay.
Loss of signal through the Vanguard. The American crew informed of this morning's unprecedented live video of the Soviet recovery of their two ASTP crew members, Alexei Leonov and Valery Kubasov. During the time that Carol Bobko was talking to the crew, Sergei Tsibin, the ship flight director at the Soviet Union, said that this morning's recovery and the entire mission stood as a good basis for future manned international space flights and exploration of space. The Soyuz touched down at 5:50 and 54 seconds Central Daylight Time this morning, 13:50:54 Moscow time. That figure according to the Soviet Mission Control Center. Next acquisition for the Apollo will be 14 minutes away. That'll be through the satellite. At 1:42:52 ground elapsed time, this is Apollo Control.
All stations stand by for an Apollo control announcement in 1 minute.
and the preparation of high-quality materials. So this joint flight is completed. We've all seen the exciting moments of the launch of the spacecraft. We all were witnesses of the docking and the handshake in orbit by Soviet and American cosmonauts. And finally, we just now saw the marvelous process and the exact on-schedule precision of the descent of the Soyuz spacecraft, the descent vehicle of the Soyuz 19, and we saw how close it came to the aiming point. In the process, all operations were performed strictly on schedule, and finally, the performance of this flight was performed strictly according to an agreed-upon schedule. We saw essentially that the results are the results of this flight, the results of the effort of large groups of specialists, and it's so pleasant for us to congratulate the designers, the workers, the engineers, the astronauts, the cosmonauts, as well as our American colleagues for the completion of this wonderful experiment. We'd also like our best wishes to the Sevastyanov and Klimuk. We'd like to wish them aboard their orbiting station Salyut to have a successful completion of this flight. We all were witness to the space conversation between Soyuz 19 spacecraft and the crew of the Salyut 4 space station. We heard the greetings which they exchanged. And these magnificent seven, which were performing their space trip, opened another new page in space research, in the history of the conquest of space. Permit me to pass my congratulations and best wishes to all the TV viewers who watched this important flight with great attention. Thank you very much. Now, we'd like to pass the word to a representative of the American Specialist Group to say a few words.
First, on behalf of the American specialists here in the Moscow Control Center, во-первых, разрешите мне от имени группы американских специалистов тут в ЦУПе, Центр управления полетом, and my American friends in the Houston Control Center, а также от имени моих американских друзей, Центр управления полетом в Хьюстоне, I want to express our congratulations to Academician Petrov. Я хочу выразить мою благодарность академику Петрову, профессору Душев, профессору Бушуеву, Шаталову, генералу Шаталову, and Alexei Yeleseyev, и Dr. Alexei Yeleseyev, and all the other Soviet Control Center personnel and other support personnel for a beautiful flight на Soyuz, и всему остальному персоналу Центра управления полетом, и всем тем, которые его поддерживали за блестяще выполненные задания. And as has already been mentioned, the cosmonauts Leonov and Kubasov, и так как уже было упомянуто раньше, космонавты Leonov и Kubasov did an outstanding job. Выполнили блестящее дело. I can only say that the flight joint flight has been a complete success. Я могу сказать только одно, что совместный полет был стопроцентный успех. We monitored the cosmonaut and astronaut activities here in Moscow. Мы наблюдали за работой экипажей отсюда из Москвы, and because of their outstanding performance, и благодаря их блестящей работе, our job here on the ground was made very easy. Наша работа тут на Земле была очень легкой. I'm sure that, too, the scientists are anxiously awaiting to receive the experimental samples being returned. Я уверен, что ученые на Земле ожидают с большим нетерпением получить все эти результаты испытаний в космосе. I know that myself and the other Americans here are very proud to have been a part of this flight, particularly having participated here in the Moscow Mission Control Center. Я знаю, что все мы, американцы, очень гордимся тем, что нам довелось следить за этим полетом и принимать вроде участие на земле тут. My congratulations again to all my Soviet friends here, and my thanks to them for their best wishes for Apollo safe landing. Еще раз мои поздравления советскому персоналу и советскому народу за блестяще выполненный полет и за успешное приземление. А теперь мы запросим сказать несколько слов в заключение нашей передачи.
In conclusion of our flight, we'd like to pass the word to the director of this flight, Eliseev. We've just heard the congratulations from the Central Committee of the Communist Party and the government on the successful flight. First, we'd like to thank all those present here and our government for this greeting. Each one of us considered his participation in this work as an honor and a responsible task set by our homeland, and we tried to apply all our efforts so that this work would be completed successfully. Of course, everybody knows that the flight was successful. We did everything that was planned for this flight. We accomplished it all, and we became convinced that we can cooperate fruitfully and well with our American colleagues. The second spacecraft participant in this work is still in space, and in conclusion, I would like to wish the Apollo spacecraft to have a happy landing, a successful landing. And on the 25th of July, we will be just as happy as we are now, I think, about our landing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Moscow time. In Moscow time, the landing of the Apollo will be the night of the 25th. With this, we are concluding our broadcast on the successful landing of Soyuz 19 spacecraft, which performed in the first international Soyuz Apollo flight. Once again, our most heartfelt greetings and congratulations to Kubasov and Leonov on the successful completion of this wonderful program, remarkable program.